Hi there. I thought I'd come to you today and show you the laying off method. I keep perfecting it, so this is probably the third time I've done this video over the last couple of years, but you sort of just learn a little bit more, a couple more tips, and I just thought I'd want to show you in case you watched my other ones and there was a few questions. Anyway, right, so first things first, I always use the Staalmeester rollers. Now these have got a very, very short nap on them and they are machine washable. Yes, I know, if you're on a septic system and you're in Canada or somewhere like that, I know you can't do it. But in the UK, our water, whether I'm standing at the sink or in the washing machine water, will go down the same drains. So it's no different, and in fact uses far less water than if I stood for 2 hours at the sink with 30 brushes that I've been soaking all week and rollers. So I just put them in the machine, quick wash, quickest wash you can do, lowest temperature, lowest spin. I throw my brushes in. Yes, it does wreck them a bit, look, all the paint's coming off the handles and things, but they do survive. These are my Staalmeester brushes. These are the ones I use for laying off. I love these. Now these have been in the washing machine. Cheap ones go rusty, these don't. Anyway, so first things first, have a couple of extra brushes around for any little bits that you need to get to. Nice flat, good quality, like I say, a good quality flat brush. So, roller. So this is a roller that's been through the machine. I tend to actually use ones that have been through the machine a few times for like first and second coats, but this unit is just painting really nicely. It's quite grainy, so it's hiding all the brush marks. So this one has been through the machine, I don't know how many times. I store them in a kind of ice cream pot all week. So firstly, don't be mean with your paint. Get your roller completely and utterly soaked in paint. Roll it backwards and forwards a good few times. Take off any excess. I find you always seem to get a bit of excess on the ends. So take off any excess. And you're going to let the roller do the work. So I feel like that's okay. I found that if you're working in a warm environment and you're mean with your paint, it literally dries as you're rolling it off. And that just creates texture and things. But you can always go back and just do another coat. Just give it a quick sand. So I've found recently that you need to be more generous. Don't be stingy, because you want to make sure the paint stays wet to give you enough time to lay it off, which is what we call this. So I have given this a little sand. Sometimes I will do a coat and I won't even bother to lay it off, especially if it's the first coat. I'm just literally trying to get some paint down. So, okay, right. I'm rolling again over here. Start on the, oh, I can see some bits there. That's not going to help, is it? So I have given this a tiny little sand with 180 or higher even. Just make sure there's no bits. I did dust it off, but you'd be amazed how many bits fly up in the air. Start furthest away from you so that you're not trying to kind of work on top of where you're going. So, like I said, you want to be generous. And the other thing I've found, don't press the roller too hard, because you're actually creating roller marks. So you can go across the grain if you want, but then it's hard to get those roller marks out. So I then, once I feel like I've got enough paint on there, I actually use my roller with no pressure at all. Just, I pull it back over where I've laid down that paint, keeping a wet edge. Don't overlap the wet and the dry. Keep it moving. Because that wasn't a lot of paint on that, and I literally only got like one run out of this. And now we're going to do it again. Write a bit of paint up that end. Turn your roller over if you feel like you want to get a bit more of an even amount going. And then, like I say, just roll lightly down when you feel like you're nearly there. And it's really good to work in a light wet like this, where you can see the reflection. Now, there are some little tram lines and things going on. This paint, this is Fusion Mineral paint. Just checking there's no bits. There is an element of self-leveling, so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. And in actual fact, like I said, you know, sometimes I will leave that as my first coat, and then I'll give it a sand before I do my next coat. So I know when you're doing walls and things, you want to do great big W's and you're really trying to stretch your paint out as far as it can go, but with this you don't need to. So like I say, be slightly generous and then just roll back over, and that would probably dry okay for a first or second coat. I'm hoping, as long as nothing goes wrong, this is my last coat. I tend to always end up doing 3. Right, now get your brush dry. You are not painting with it, you are laying off the texture. So you want to start furthest away because you're going to get in your way. And again, you just let the brush carry its own weight. No pressure whatsoever, just lightly. And keep it fairly, so like 45 degrees or lower if you can. And if you're doing a big unit, stand in the middle because you've got to do all this. So, okay. And I am going with the grain because that will camouflage the brush strokes. So I can't tell you how many times I do this last coat and then I'll come back and there's a hair in the middle of it. I think I might have to start wearing a hairnet or something. So there we go. You can flip the brush over to a drier side. So in some ways, when I look at this, I think, I don't know, I think actually the roller looked better than the brush strokes. But there is a little bit of pickling, that kind of pickling look you will get. And that's it. Do not touch it again. Do not go back over it unless you have made a complete mess somewhere. And watch the bits at the ends. So this, you might get a bit of paint collecting there, and you might get a bit of paint collecting here. Just brush it away. And that's it. So yeah, it don't look the best in this light, does it? But I promise you that will dry nicely. That will, I promise, I promise. Hang on, let me show you the sides and then that will show you. Can you see? Oh, see, of course that's in shadow, isn't it? Let me see. Take it out the stand. Does that show you? Because I laid off the sides as well. I do it to all of them, all my pieces. Anyway, hope that's helpful. If you do it wrong, let it dry, give it a tiny scuff sand and do it again. It's literally, 5 minutes work. So it's not painful, it doesn't take a lot of time, and you don't use a lot of paint. Oh, other tip, scrape off your paint. Hold on, I'm going to turn you around if I can. I won't let me turn you around. Okay, right, what I do, so you see my roller here, I scrape off all the excess paint using a popsicle stick. You would not believe how much paint is in that roller. It's quite incredible. So anyway, got any questions, put them below and I'll come back and give you some tips. Hope that helps. Bye.